Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Chef Vic Cuisine. Today, we're making a poke bowl. Now, this is one of the recipes I took from a trip I had to Hawaii, and this is a really tasty and fresh meal. Now, poke is an Hawaiian word that means cut into pieces, and the salmon take on this dish is absolutely delicious. So, let's get started.
Alright, so for the ingredients, you're going to need 1.5 cups of sushi rice, 1.5 cups of water, plus some additional water to rinse the rice, a pinch of salt, 1 to 1.5 pounds of sushi grade Atlantic salmon, four cloves of garlic, minced, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of wasabi, 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, or about the juice of half of a lemon, half of an avocado thinly sliced, half a cup of edamame that's shelled, about 3 to 4 stalks of green onion that you're going to finely chop, 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, and optionally for the rice topping to add some more flavor, we want to use half a cup of mirin rice seasoning, a 1/4 cup of granulated white sugar, and finally 1 teaspoon of salt. Alright, so to get things started, you want to add your rice into a small saucepan or pot. And you want to cover all the rice with water and then begin washing the rice. And as you can see from this initial wash, you're getting rid of a lot of the starch from the rice, hence why the water looks so cloudy. This is a really important step when preparing rice for either sushi or a poke bowl, as you don't want the rice to turn out gummy, and you also want the rice to absorb some water as well. It helps with the cooking process. And so you just want to repeat this process of washing the rice until the water that it's in is no longer cloudy. And it normally takes me about 3 or 4 times of washing it. And all I do is transfer the rice into a fine mesh sieve, rinse it thoroughly with running water, and then place it back in the small saucepan and fill it up with more water to cover it, washing with my hand and getting rid of all that excess starch. Don't forget to boil that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my next video drops. And stay tuned until the end of this video for a sneak peek of the recipe coming next week. After the last rinse of the rice, you want to drain off as much water from the rice as you can without losing any of the rice. Alright, so it's at this point where you want to add the 1.5 cups of water to the pot with your washed rice, and following that, a generous pinch of salt. Now you want to place the pot onto a stove on high heat, or 450 degrees Fahrenheit, or 232 degrees Celsius. And so for this video, I'm working with an electric stove, so the steps if you're working with a gas stove would be slightly different, which I will explain in just a second. But it's at this point in the video where you want to take another one of your stovetop rings and set that one to the lowest temperature that you have available and let it rise to that temperature. So you want to bring the water in the pot to a boil so that the rice is just starting to dance around the edge of the pot. And it would be at this point where you want to turn off the heat completely and cover the pot of rice. And then you want to place the covered pot onto a new ring set at the lowest heat, or 225 degrees Fahrenheit or 170 degrees Celsius. But if you were working with a gas stove, there would be no need to switch to 2 different stove tops. You could just lower the first highest heat to the lowest heat setting on the same stove top. The main difference is that electric stovetops take a long time to cool down relative to a gas stovetop. And so you would overcook the rice using the gas method on an electric stovetop. So just trust me when I say you have to cook it differently whether you have an electric stovetop or a gas stovetop. But either way, with the instructions I just gave you, you're going to come out with perfect sushi rice every time. And so you just want to leave this pot on the low heat setting to cook the rice for 10 minutes. No more, no less. And you don't lift the lid at any point. And so once the 10 minutes have passed, you can remove the pan from the stove and your rice will be ready. Now you can remove the lid and you want to pop the rice into either a wooden bowl or onto a wooden surface and gently spread the rice out so that it can cool. And it would be at this stage that the rice would be ready to serve for the poke bowl, but I like to add some more flavor to my rice, so here is a nice trick to elevate the dish. In a small bowl, you want to add the half a cup of mirin, the quarter cup of white sugar, and finally the 1 teaspoon of salt. You want to whisk all of these ingredients together until all of the sugar and salt is dissolved. And now, after fluffing the rice a bit, you can take a brush and lightly coat the rice with the mirin sugar salt mix. And a little goes a long way, so don't feel like you need to pour the whole bowl in there. You just want to see the rice shine ever so slightly with the mix. And trust me, the flavor of the rice is 10 times better doing it this way than just having it straight out of the pot. So now on to preparing the rest of the ingredients for the poke bowl. With your Atlantic salmon, you just want to make sure you remove the skin from it. And so what I do is cut a portion of the fillet that I can grab onto, and then I point the blade of my knife slightly diagonal to the surface of the cutting board. And while pulling with my right hand gripped onto the skin of the salmon, you want to slowly slide the rest of the salmon against the edge of the blade, and the meat of the fish will separate from the skin pretty easily. And all you need is a subtle saw movement to separate the meat from the skin. And as you can see, most of the scales and the skin has been removed. There might be some leftover, which you can pretty easily scratch off with the surface of your knife, and then you're ready to chop up the salmon. So we're aiming for bite-sized pieces of salmon. So I like to create about inch thick long slices through the length of the salmon fillet, and then always double back on that and then chop it up so that it's an inch wide as well. And you generally want to, when possible, get a cinder cut of the fillet so that all your pieces are relatively the same thickness. But once all your salmon is cut up into bite-sized pieces, you can go ahead and set that aside for now. Next up, we're going to make a delicious sauce for the poke bowl. And to start, we're going to mash up the garlic cloves. And then I like to use a garlic mincer just to create some really tiny pieces of garlic to help distribute the flavor better. Even after it's minced, I always like to take a knife and dice it up even more, just to make sure that you don't have any large pieces of garlic that might have escaped through the garlic press. Then you want to add the minced garlic to a small bowl, and then follow that up with the soy sauce, the wasabi, and the juice of half of a lemon. And you want to whisk all those together until they're well combined. And this creates the sauce for your poke bowl, and you can set that aside for now. Next up, we have the green onions, and all you need to do is chop up the green onions along the length of the onion, and then you can just discard the white part of the onion, as we're using the green onion for garnishment. Next up is one of my favorite ingredients to the poke bowl, a fresh avocado. To me, the combination of salmon and avocado is just great, and the flavor is just incredible. So for this recipe, all you need is half of an avocado, but you can always add more if you want. Just remove the pit and the peel of the avocado, and then just create thin slices by cutting along the length of the avocado. And once I have all the avocado slices, I like to slice them in half, just so I have more avocado pieces to spread amongst the poke bowl. Now on to assembling the bowl. You want to pour as much rice as you desire into a serving bowl. And then you want to top that with as much salmon as you want as well. Next, I take the avocado slices and spread them across the center of the bowl. And then I like to add a large handful of edamame and chopped green onions to the center. Garnish with some toasted sesame seeds. And finally, to add even more flavor and a nice kick to the dish, drizzle on some of that wasabi soy garlic sauce we just made. And just like that, you've just made your very own poke bowl, Chef Vic Cuisine style. The combination of textures and flavors and aromas is really mouth-watering. This poke bowl is incredibly tasty, and I can't wait for you guys to try it too. And the best thing about poke bowls is that you can customize them to your own personal taste. Feel free to toss on some cucumbers, masago, seaweed, pickled ginger, some sriracha sauce, and even more. And if you're not a fan of salmon, try using tuna or any other freshly cut sushi grade fish. And just one more note, because this is sushi grade quality fish, this should be consumed within 24 hours of preparation of the fish, just to be on the safe side. As always, this recipe and many more can be found in my cookbook, Chef Vic Cuisine, Volume 1, Finding Your Inner Chef. And that's available on Amazon, and I'll be sure to leave a link to that in the description box. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my next video drops. And stay tuned for next week, where I try to make this really easy, yet really tasty French toast. Well, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week on another episode of Chef Vic Cuisine. And until then, peace.